Hey everybody, this is Tracy here with another edition of A View from Tracy's Point, and we are here with some tea, y'all. Okay, do you guys remember when Tasha K was sharing information from R. Kelly's, his phone records, his email records, his who was sending him money, and we were like, where is she getting that information from? Like, who inside is sending her this information? Is this public knowledge? Like, why is she doing this? Well, it turns out that the Bureau of Prison had the same question, and they launched an investigation, and their investigation has revealed the source of said information. And so Jason Mesner with the Chicago Tribune wrote an article where he's basically detailing what transpired and how this person was tracked down. She didn't even work at the Chicago MCC where Kelly was located. She worked in, I believe it was Wisconsin somewhere. But in any event, it says that Kelly had been locked up, at the MCC for 4 months when a popular YouTuber started revealing that she had the inside scoop on what was going on with his relationships with Jocelyn and Ariel Clary, who was still living at the Trump Tower at the time. And so she was saying that Kelly was desperate to keep them, by his side or supporting him. And so he allegedly had a friend who was probably Keith bring $1,500 to the Trump Tower to pay their bills. And all of this was according to blogger Unwind with Tasha K when she did an exclusive video in November of 2019. And so it goes on to say, one of them, Jocelyn Savage, was angry she had been kept off Kelly's visitors list, according to Tasha K, and that the other girlfriend, Ariel Clary, had left the apartment and not come back, throwing Kelly into a tizzy, according to Tasha K. And so you guys know with the visitation, he could only have one visitor who was not a family member, a blood relative. And so for 90 days he was going to see Ariel. Then the next 90 days he was going to let Jocelyn come to visit. And then we all know that when the 90 days was up, Ariel wanted him to kick Jocelyn to the curb, kick her out of the Trump Tower, and then Ariel would be the last woman standing. And when that did not happen, all hell broke loose. And here we are today. And that's why Ariel was on the witness stand week before last for 2.5 days, trying to get her story straight about what was going on, how she met him, what took place, and all of that. So, as I stated, people were wondering, how did Tasha K know what was going on? And so she is quoted from the video saying, yeah, there's a phone tap somewhere, and I'm not going to tell you where it is. She told her viewers, and that particular video, they're saying, garnered 328,000 views. And she went on to say, I have the plug. I'm not going to tell you where I got the information from, but just listen to the damn information, okay? And we were listening. Yes, we were. So now it appears that investigators with the FBI know exactly where Tasha got the information from. And so a federal search warrant recently unsealed in Chicago shows that agents seized a laptop from a U.S. Bureau of Prisons officer who was suspected of illegally accessing Kelly's recorded phone calls, emails, visitor logs, and other restricted information during his stay at the Metropolitan Correction Center on West Van Buren Street. And I know you guys remember, we were like, is it legal? Like, is that public record? Like, this is so disrespectful. Even if he is locked up, he still has a certain expectation of privacy. And here you are just putting all the man's personal business out there. So the female officer, who at the time worked as a disciplinary hearing officer at a federal prison in Wisconsin, accessed Kelly's records more than 150 times in a 6-month period in 2019, even though the officer was not assigned to the MCC and had no official reason to be looking them up, according to the 24-page document. And then it goes on to say that the officer, identified only as Officer A in the documents, also emailed herself a 12-page scan of Kelly's jail records, according to the affidavit from an investigator with the U.S. Justice Department's Inspector General's office. The officer retired in December 2019, and she hasn't been charged yet, but I'm sure she knew that they were on to her, that an investigation had started, and she was like, let me get my retirement so I can collect my money just in case I get arrested for this. And then I don't know what legal ramifications that Tasha K could receive, possibly bribing, a government employee to get this information. That's a possibility of a charge that she could face. And then the article goes on to say the unsealing of the search warrant comes in the middle of Kelly's trial. And then they talk a little bit about the case, which really isn't focusing on building a RICO case, but more or less is just a reenactment in the courtroom of surviving R. Kelly, is really what this case is boiling down to. And so then it goes on to say that Kelly is identified in the warrant as inmate A, though he's described as a nationally recognized celebrity whose criminal case has received media attention. And then sources confirmed the investigation and videos referenced in the federal document lineup with Kelly related videos posted on YouTube. And so the Bureau of Prison is basically just saying that this issue is a pending investigation and that they are not releasing any more information. And that is for privacy, safety, and security reasons. And then the documents offer a glimpse into the unbridled cottage industry that has sprung up on social media since the allegations against Kelly exploded in 2019 with the Lifetime docuseries Surviving R. Kelly, which eventually led to a federal indictment. Well, actually multiple federal indictments, one in Brooklyn, one in Chicago, and then the Cook County case. And then they go on to talk about how Kelly's supporters and detractors have devoted countless hours on social media, including Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram, where they're looking for details on the singer's life and the charges against him. And then they said with a South suburban woman posting Kelly's $100,000 bail, and they're talking about the what's her name? Valencia, the lady that owns the restaurant, and she paid the $100,000. Kelly paid her right back as soon as he was released from jail, plus a $10,000 bonus. And so they talk about, how she was dragged through the mud and people wanted to boycott her restaurant, and she was wrongly identified as the operator of a Southside daycare, which led to all different types of issues. And Tasha K actually had her on Valencia Love. Tasha K also had her on her show last year, where she was talking about, and it wasn't even last year, I think it was earlier this year. She was actually talking about that whole situation, what she dealt with, and how she still has her restaurant. She's still doing good, and, she survived the storm. Then they go on and they mention infamous Sylvia and her reading of the transcripts in what she calls role reenactment. And it says, but none of the gossip mongers has been as successful as Tasha K, whose celebrity news dispatches on the YouTube channel Unwind with Tasha K, regularly garnering hundreds of thousands of views and earning her significant money in advertisement dollars. And so they say that Tasha K's real name is Latasha Kebe. She's 39 years old and based out of Atlanta. And that, she often touts her videos as being exclusives and information and insight into Kelly's world, with interviews of key players as well as updates on the allegations, including many that go far beyond even the most salacious details that are offered in court. And then the article says, according to the warrant, the warden of Chicago's MCC first reported to the Bureau of Prisons Internal Affairs on November 22nd, 2019, that Tasha K had revealed sensitive law enforcement information regarding the celebrity identified as Kelly, including information that would have been known to BOP employees who had monitored his telephone calls or access the recordings of those calls. And the warrant mentions 3 specific videos posted by Tasha K that are all still publicly viewable on YouTube. Among them was a November 8th, 2019 video titled Exclusive New R. Kelly Enablers Revealed, where she appears to scroll through her cell phone while reading a summary of recent calls between Kelly and Savage that was recorded on the jail system's phones. And then she says, I got some explosive information. So Rob called Jocelyn and she was crying hysterically. She said Ariel was leaving the Trump Tower and she was not coming back. Now I told you I got a effing plug. So this is all facts. And then another video posted on December 22nd, 2019, titled, R. Kelly released emails proves he can't read or write. According to the affidavit, the 16-minute video, which has more than 512,000 views as of Tuesday, features Tasha K reading verbatim from emails Kelly purportedly sent from jail to Savage a month earlier, including details of how he misspelled the word hi as H-A-I. And let's see what else does she have in here. And then she was also quoted as saying, I'm not going to put it up here because this is considered somebody's private information or whatever. But you know my word, trust me. And so they reached out to Tasha K for a comment, but Tasha hasn't replied back to them. And then a review of Officer A's logins to the Bureau of Prisons information system showed that the officer had improperly accessed Kelly's records 153 times between July 15, 2019, when Kelly first was arrested and booked at the MCC, and December 12, 2019, shortly before her retirement, according to the warrant. And during that time, the officer also accessed and printed out Kelly's visitor logs, payments made into and out of his commissary account, which included the names of people sending money to Kelly while he was in jail. And if you guys remember, according to Tasha K, Rishana Landfair was on that list of people who was regularly sending Kelly money. And so during the time, the officer also accessed, and I'm sorry, I read that. On November 13, 2019, the officer sent herself a 12-page scan of Kelly's jail records from her official Bureau of Prisons email account to a Gmail address registered to her. And among that information in that scan was a log of Kelly's emails, including some later divulged by Tasha K in her video blog. The warrant sought permission to search Officer A's desktop computer for any evidence of a crime, including any internet searches of Kelly, as well as financial transactions or discussions of payments with Tasha K. So hopefully Tasha was smart enough not to have done that via email. Hopefully she has a burner phone where she is contacting people and having these conversations with them. and they won't be able to trace any of this back to her, even though that they know she got the information because she was revealing it on her YouTube channel. But in terms of payments, which would really like implicate her into a crime if she was offering this lady money, if she paid this lady money, and then if they end up charging this woman, she's gonna spill the tea, and we'll find out whether she contacted Tasha and say, hey girl, I can get you the scoop, or whether or not Tasha contacted her or knew her previously and asked her to do this for her. But I suspect that this is going to be a growing investigation that may include other people. And one thing I can say about TMZ, TMZ being everybody's business, but we ain't never heard of TMZ getting none of their folks investigated and losing their jobs or having to retire from their jobs. So anyway, just wanted to bring this little tea to y'all this afternoon. Go ahead, leave your comments below, rate the video, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. And until the next time, I shall talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.